Let me say something that your school never taught you, something your parents probably never said, something that most hustle culture influencers are going to hate me for. Working harder is not always the answer. I know. I know. That goes against everything you've been told. Work hard, grind, sacrifice, sleep less, do more. The idea that suffering equals success has been drilled into an entire generation, and it's quietly burning people out before they even turn 25. But here's what the most successful people, the ones who actually have great lives and great careers, figured out early. It's not about how much energy you spend. It's about where, when, and how you spend it. This video is for you, the person who just started their career or is about to, the person who wants to make an impact without destroying themselves, the person who is smart enough to know there has to be a better way. There is. And today I'm going to show it to you. Before we continue, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Chapter 1. The trap most young people fall into. When you're new to your career, there's enormous pressure to prove yourself. To show up early, stay late, say yes to everything, take on every project, reply to every message instantly, and never, ever look like you're not busy. And for a while, it works. People notice. You get praise for your dedication. You feel productive. But slowly, almost without noticing, something shifts. You start waking up tired. Work that used to excite you starts to feel heavy. Your creativity drops. Your patience shrinks. And the quality of your work, the thing you were trying to protect by working so hard, quietly gets worse. This is called the busyness trap. Being busy feels like progress, but busy and productive are not the same thing at all. In fact, the busiest people are often making the least meaningful impact because they're scattering their energy across 100 things instead of directing it like a laser at the few things that actually matter. Think about it this way. A light bulb spreads light in every direction. It lights up a room, but a laser, using the exact same amount of energy, can cut through steel. Same energy, completely different results. The only difference is focus. The goal of this video is to turn you from a light bulb into a laser. Chapter 2. Your brain is not a machine. Here's something that will completely change how you think about your workday. Your brain does not perform at the same level all day long. It's not a machine that runs at a constant speed. It runs in cycles. Scientists call them ultradian rhythms. Roughly every 90 to 120 minutes, your brain naturally moves through a peak performance phase and then a rest and recovery phase. During the peak phase, your focus is sharp, your thinking is clear, your creativity is high. During the rest phase, your mind starts to wander. You feel restless, maybe a little foggy. Most people fight this natural rhythm. They push through the fog with caffeine and willpower, forcing their tired brain to do complex work when it's biologically not capable of it. The result is work that takes twice as long and is half as good. The smart move? Work with your brain, not against it. Do your most important, most complex, most creative work during your peak windows, usually the first 2 to 4 hours after you wake up. Save your low energy tasks, emails, admin, routine meetings for your rest phases, and actually take breaks, real ones, not check your phone breaks. Step away, move your body, let your brain reset. This single shift, aligning your hardest work with your highest energy, can double your output without adding a single extra hour to your day. Chapter 3. The 80-20 Principle That Changes Everything. In 1906, an Italian economist named Vilfredo Pareto noticed something strange. 80% of Italy's land was owned by just 20% of the population. He started looking for this pattern elsewhere and found it everywhere. 80% of a company's revenue comes from 20% of its clients. 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions. 80% of your stress comes from 20% of your problems. This is called the Pareto principle, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Most of what you do every day barely matters. That sounds harsh, but it's also incredibly liberating, because it means that if you can identify the 20% of your actions that drive 80% of your results and pour your best energy into those, you can achieve extraordinary things while doing significantly less of everything else. Here's how to apply this in your career right now. Make a list of everything you do in a typical week, every task, every meeting, every commitment. Now ask yourself honestly, which of these things, if I did them brilliantly, would actually move the needle? Which would make my boss notice? Which would build my skills fastest? Which would create the most value? Those are your 20%. Guard them with your life. Do them first. Do them when you're at your best. Do them with full attention and no distractions. Everything else, do efficiently. Delegate if possible, or question whether it needs to be done at all. This is not laziness. This is intelligence. This is how elite performers operate at every level, from CEOs to Olympic athletes to the greatest artists in history. They are ruthless about where they put their best energy. Chapter 4. The 5 Smart Work Principles. All right, now I want to give you 5 concrete principles that will transform how you work. Starting this week, write these down. Number 1. Do single task like your life depends on it. Multitasking is a myth. Research from Stanford University shows that people who multitask are actually less productive, less focused, and less creative than those who do one thing at a time. Every time you switch between tasks, your brain pays a switching cost. It takes 20 to 30 minutes to reach full focus again after an interruption. So here's the rule. One task, one block of time, full attention. Close every tab that isn't relevant. Silence your phone. Tell people you're unavailable. The world will not end, and the work you produce will be so much better, done in half the time, that you'll never go back. Number 2, design your environment before you start. Your environment is silently controlling your behavior. The apps on your phone's home screen, the snacks on your desk, the notifications pinging every 3 minutes, the chair you sit in, whether your workspace is clean or chaotic. All of it is constantly nudging you toward distraction or focus without you even realizing it. The most productive people design their environment on purpose. Before they start work, they remove every possible source of distraction. They put their phone in another room. They use website blockers. They have water and snacks ready so they don't need to get up. They create a space that makes focus almost automatic. Design your environment for the person you want to be, not the distracted, procrastinating version of you. Make the right choice, the easy choice. Number 3, use deadlines as a superpower. Have you ever noticed how much you get done in the last hour before a deadline? Suddenly, the procrastination disappears, the perfectionism disappears, the overthinking disappears, and you just do it. That's not an accident. That's a psychological law called Parkinson's Law, which states that work expands to fill the time available for it. If you give yourself 2 weeks to finish a report, it will take 2 weeks. If you give yourself 2 hours, it will take 2 hours. And often the quality is just as good because you cut the fluff and got to the point. Start giving yourself artificial deadlines. Set a timer. Tell a colleague when you will have something ready. Create the pressure intentionally. You will be stunned by how much faster and cleaner you work when the clock is ticking. Number 4, invest in your skills like a stock market. Here is the most asymmetric investment available to a young person at the start of their career: skill development. An hour you spend learning a high-value skill today will pay dividends for the rest of your working life. One course, one book, one mentor, one weekend of deep practice can give you a capability that saves you and earns you thousands of hours over the next decade. The young people who move fastest in their careers are not necessarily the hardest workers. They are the ones who identified the most valuable skills in their field and went deep on those skills early. They built leverage, because with the right skills, 1 hour of your work becomes worth 10 hours of someone else's. Ask yourself this week, what is the one skill, if I mastered it, that would make everything else in my career easier? Then spend 30 minutes a day on it. Consistently. Watch what happens in 6 months. Number 5, recovery is part of the strategy. This last one is the one most young people skip, and it costs them more than anything else. Rest is not a reward for finishing your work. Rest is part of the process of doing great work. Your brain consolidates learning during sleep. Your creativity spikes after genuine relaxation. Your emotional resilience, your ability to handle pressure, think clearly under stress, make good decisions, all of it depends on how well you recover. Elite athletes don't just train hard. They train hard and recover hard. They treat sleep, nutrition, movement, and time away from their sport as seriously as the training itself, because they understand that the adaptation, the growth, happens during recovery, not during the work. You are an athlete. Your field is your career. Start treating your recovery with the same seriousness you treat your ambition. Chapter 5. The mindset shift that ties it all together. I want to talk to you about something deeper for a moment, because everything I've shared with you today is practical. It's tactical. And it works, but there's a mindset underneath all of it that makes the difference between someone who listened to this and thinks that's interesting and someone who actually changes. You are not your output. Listen to that again. You are not your output. Your worth as a human being is not determined by how many tasks you complete, how many hours you log, or how impressive your LinkedIn profile looks. That might sound obvious, but for a lot of young people who have been trained since childhood to perform, to achieve, to produce, it is not obvious at all. It's a revolutionary idea. When you stop trying to prove your worth through overwork, something surprising happens. You actually perform better. You make better decisions. You take more intelligent risks. You become more creative because you're working from a place of confidence and clarity, not fear and anxiety. Smart work is not about doing less because you're lazy. It's about doing less of the wrong things so you can do more of the right things with full energy, full attention, and full presence. That is the difference between a long career and a great career. You have something that most experienced professionals desperately wish they had back: time. You are at the beginning. Every smart habit you build now, every skill you invest in now, every hour you protect now, compounds over years and decades into something extraordinary. Don't waste the beginning being busy. Use it to be strategic. Last but not the least, I want you to imagine something for me. Two people start their careers on the same day. Same qualifications, same company, same starting salary. The first person works the hardest they possibly can. They're always busy, always online, always available. They say yes to everything and everyone. They grind every single day for years. The second person works smart. They protect their peak hours. They focus on their highest value work. They invest 30 minutes a day in learning. They take their rest seriously. They say no to the things that don't matter, so they can say a full, committed yes to the things that do. 5 years later, who do you think is further ahead? The second person. Every time. Not because they worked less, but because they worked with intention. That second person can be you, starting today, not next Monday, not when things slow down, not when you feel ready. Today, with whatever you have, wherever you are. You don't need more hours. You need better hours. You don't need more effort. You need more direction. You don't need to burn out to prove you care. You need to care enough about your future to protect your energy now. Work smart, recover hard, stay focused, and build the career and the life that you actually came here to live.